Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dean Rogers. Welcome to another Dean Rogers Show interview. Today, we've got special guest, Ray Zhang. Welcome to the show, Ray.
Thank you, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for being here, man. So, a couple of key things to highlight about you before we get started and dive right in. You've got an incredible story about how you got into real estate, and I'm going to be sitting here, eating my popcorn, listening to your story and hearing all the details because I don't know all the details yet, but I know at the high level, you immigrated here from China 10 years
Mhm.
ago. And you were homeless, sitting on a bench, listening to a podcast. We won't say which one yet. And you somehow, some way had the passion, the drive to take action. And by doing so, you have now put yourself in a position to where you're doing land deals. This year, you've done $800,000 net profit from doing land deals, spending 2 to 3 hours a week
A
and
day.
a
A day.
day, a day,
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking 4 hour work week for a second there.
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours a day, and that's incredible, man. I mean, what a crazy story. So, and if anybody wants to go check out Ray, you can go to Instagram, find him there, Virtual Flip Land, one word, Virtual Flip Land, to check out Ray. So, Ray, man, I'm super stoked to get into the story and hear all the juicy nuggets. So let's start right back on that park bench
Mhm.
when you were listening to a podcast. Let's talk about that.
Sure. So I was listening to a guy that we both know. His name is Tom Crow.
Yep.
He's very passionate about real estate. He always like bam, bam, right? I was like, who's this guy? And but I love that guy because he is passionate about what he's doing, and I love real estate too. Because that's something we cannot do it in China, but you can do it here, right? So I was
Wow. So you can't do real estate in China.
no, because the government basically own the land, so you cannot flip it.
Wow. That's crazy.
Right. So when I first came here, I was basically living in the car, and I was sitting in the bench. Actually, I was laying down, and I was listening to Tom. Sometime I need the internet. I have to go to either Starbucks or I have to go to school. In the school they have Wi-Fi. I just use the free Wi-Fi in the car and using my computer, and do my research.
Yeah. That's crazy. So you found Tom Kroll's podcast. And what was it about Tom Kroll that inspired you? Because I started real estate, not the same, but similar, that I found a free podcast and it just inspired the heck out of me. I found Sean Terry's Flip to Freedom podcast. So someone who's very similar and well respected in the space, Tom Kroll, you found his podcast. What was it about the words he was saying that made you say, oh my gosh, real estate is what I want to do?
I was by then in Hawaii, so it was really hard to do wholesaling, which is Tom is talking about. But I love real estate because I know how much you can make in real estate, right? And one deal you can net, is there the number is unlimited. But
Yeah.
I was by then a car dealer. I flip cars, and sometime I get 1,000 profit. Sometime good day 2,000 profit. So how many cars I need to do to equal one real estate deal?
Yeah.
And that was an eye opener for me.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the aha moment. I know usually it takes something like that to where you put in all this effort, all this work, and then you finally have some trigger that goes off that says, my gosh, if I keep doing this one thing, it's really not going to propel me forward and create the freedom that you're looking for, create the opportunity you're looking for. So you were selling cars and we're like, man, this isn't going to get me to where I want to go, putting in all this
Mm.
work and effort. So, what were the next steps for you? How did you actually start taking some of those actions to get in front of opportunity?
That was a hard, and long road to walk, because I tried everything in Hawaii. I tried to do wholesaling, which is extremely hard. Maybe you can find one deal in a year. And I tried apartments. I tried to buy apartments in the mainland when I was in Hawaii. It didn't work out because I have to travel around. And I try to flip, buy a cheap house and, make it look prettier and you can flip it. That didn't work. So I was almost tried it all, and I don't know what I was going to do. But at one point I heard about another guy who was teaching land. I was thinking, maybe that could be another thing to do, right? Because land, you don't have to be there. Land is pretty much all the same. There's a flat ground with some dirt on it. Maybe I don't have to travel to the mainland when I was in Hawaii. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. I started to do my first deal in land, and then it just another story. So I moved from Hawaii to here, Florida, about a year ago, and things start to take off after that.
Amazing. So,
Yeah.
I think one of the things that if the untrained ear might not have heard this, and I'm always love to listen to people's stories of how they got to success. And I think one of the things that you mentioned but didn't make a big point about it, which is worth calling out, is you started, how long ago would you say you started taking action in real estate when you were in Hawaii?
At least 9 years ago. At least.
9 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I think that's so important. You started 9 years ago. And when would you say it finally started taking off?
About 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So there
Yeah.
were 6 years that you were trying and weren't really getting anywhere, right?
Right, right. Exactly.
Now, that could have been because of your location, or you just didn't have the right like investment type, like land, where you made it work for you. I think that is so powerful to hear because I think most people would have given up after trying for 6 years, right?
Mm.
And everyone loves the overnight success story, but most people don't realize that Ray John, even though he's look at him now, like look at all these great things, like he's always been doing great. No, there were times that were hard, right? There
Exactly.
were times where you probably were wondering, what the heck are you doing? You're not getting anywhere, but you stuck with it and were persistent and finally found the thing that was the breakthrough moment. And that's what I love about real estate specifically is there's so many different niches that you can find, and not every niche is going to work for everybody. So sometimes you got to find what works for you and what you ultimately are good at. So that's
Yeah.
amazing, man. I think that's a huge part of your story from what I've heard so far is you spent all this time trying to make something work and it wasn't, but you didn't give up and
Mm.
you stayed with it. So you finally started taking off. And when did you move to Florida?
About a year ago.
About a year ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So once you finally made that move, was it from Hawaii?
Yes, it was from Hawaii. Yes.
Okay. So you moved from Hawaii to Florida. Now, what was it? What helped you once you moved to Florida? What was it about being there that helped you?
I was doing land in Hawaii too, but not like super in big scale. I was doing about 1 or 2 deals a month. Maybe that add about 5,000 extra income to me every month. And then, I was always learning, right? I was in the Tony Robbins event and, he jumped around and got me excited. So, uh, so there was a little small voice came to me. I think that's just an inspiration. That voice said, you got to move to the mainland. Um, so I did that without knowing what I'm going to do because the land is only 5,000 a month. It's not going to support a life with, 3 kids, right?
Yep.
So, but I did it anyways. I moved to California. I started to develop the theory in my mind about the whole system, about the land flip. So I said to myself, I'm going to try it out to myself first. So I did it in one county, and my first deal was I bought it for 6 grand, and we sold it 2 days later for 55,000. And
Woo.
that was the land in Texas.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this just pure luck? So I tried another county in Texas, and it worked again. And I was like, is this only working in Texas? All right, maybe I tried to other state. I did Florida, and after that, it just I did many states after that. So right now I'm in probably 30, 40 different counties at the same time.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So without giving away all your secrets, what is it about the land that you would say that you're doing? Is it very similar to marketing direct to seller with a normal house, 3 bedroom, 2 bath house? You send them postcards and they respond to you. Is it something similar to that?
Right, it's a direct mail for sure. And one thing is a game changer for me is I started to target higher value land, more than the
Oh,
value. Yeah, the value of the land at least 20,000. So what I used to do is I target the out of nowhere land. You can buy a land for like 1,000 and sell it for 25 or 3 grand. That
right.
was good, but not very good because you have to do a lot of things yourself. Nobody is going to help you. Imagine you approach to a realtor, you say, "Hey, I have a land worth about 3 grand. Can you help me sell it?" That probably will not get that realtor excited, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, what if it's a 30 grand? That could help a little.
Help a little. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're trying to find land that's not maybe too far out, but on the outside of town or in the inside of town, or which
Yeah.
which main areas?
Yeah, that's what I do, and what I teach my students is you don't want to go to the major city like Dallas or Fort Worth. Those area is good. When you have a land, you can sell it no problem. But the thing is, it's very hard to get, and when you get it, it will be a very high price. So what you want to do is 30 to an hour drive from the major growing cities like Dallas or Austin. My first market is 1 hour drive from Austin. So, that's a perfect area because people want those.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
where the growth is going, right? So they might want the opportunity. And would you say most of your buyers or are mom and pop and using a realtor, or
Mm.
are they real estate investors that are wanting to build and develop new construction?
Yeah. So a lot of them are builders and some of them are just they want to buy and hold. But I think majority of them is builders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, that's a juicy nugget right there. Just wrap your head around, like, how do I identify a market, a county, kind of what kind of area I should be looking towards. So that's super helpful. So you moved to California, right? And then
Mhm.
you started doing things virtually, realized that you could do that and you could grow it. And then what took you to Florida?
So I was in California just for a couple of days. I was visiting my father-in-law, and then I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and started to live here. I love it. I mean, Hawaii is good, but it's still boring, right?
Yeah. Well, you probably got island fever. You were like, all right, I've had enough of the island. I see
There
the
you go.
water. It's still there. I want to go see some different stuff now.
Correct. I wanted to go to Disney World.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
So let's talk about what you've done from there. So you went from sleeping on a bench, right? Or maybe sleeping in your car. Were you sleeping on your
yeah,
car?
yeah.
Sleeping in your car, listening to a podcast on a bench, um, trying to make it work for years, and then finally finding the right thing that gave you traction. And kind of a fun story is now, because of the success that you've now gotten involved, which is how we met, in masterminds and other different things, right? Opening up
Mm,
new and more doors to help with your growth and your community around you. So you said you were able to meet Tom Kroll recently
Yeah.
after hearing him on the podcast, person who helped influence and inspire you. And now you got to meet him in person. What was that moment like?
Um, he was teaching in the room, and I was a little bit late because that was 2 hours drive. And I went into the room. He saw me. It's like love at the first sight, right? So he came down. He came down and he hugged me because we have been contacting over the years. And I just never thought he was a big guy. I mean, I thought he was my height, but not. I have to look at him like this. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome.
He's about your height, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I just met him not too long ago, and he's just got an incredible positive energy that you can feel, that's authentic. And that's what's so fun about being an entrepreneur and seeking other people that are like you, right? And they're like me, who are trying to do well in our business, but are also always trying to do the right thing and, be positive and have a good mindset and all these other things. We're trying to improve ourselves in more than many ways, and also impact others. And Tom has impacted, thousands and thousands of people, and is just, you can see why he's just got such a great energy. So that's a cool moment. So where do you go from here, man? What have you been working on? What have you been doing? What's next for Ray?
I had this whole experience, and right now I'm at the stage of sharing. I really want to share my secret. I know what it was like to be homeless. Maybe most of the majority of the listeners are not homeless, but everyone has a money problem, no matter how much you
Yep.
get, right?
Yep.
So I'm just trying to help the right person or whoever want to learn more about land. Right now, I start to involve in this mastermind, including you. As an entrepreneur, I have to say that sometimes or majority of the time you feel lonely. Even you're married, you have kids. Sometimes you do feel lonely because you feel like nobody is understanding you why you work so hard and
Yeah.
why you always pushing. You cannot just you got enough money. Why do you just sit there and lay down, right? But it's because of loneliness. We gather together as a mastermind, and we want to share. I mean, it's not like that we want to get your money or something, but we really want to share this with. It's like a gift, right? You give the gift to somewhere else. I think that's where I'm gonna do right now.
Yeah, I think I had a similar, feeling and experience when I launched my coaching program at the time of filming this, just, a handful of months ago. And I think once I did that, the activities I was doing before was helping other people do deals and make money when they didn't have the skill sets to do it, right? They didn't have the
Mm,
knowledge, or they didn't have the resources, or whatever it was. So once I started doing that, the amount of fulfillment that I got, it just made things more fun and fulfilling, and my business grew. And I'm sure you're experiencing the same thing. Like when you're finding success and helping others, it's fire, gasoline on the fire. It just helps grow things and makes it a lot more fun during the whole experience.
yeah, of course. And sometimes, especially at the beginning, you still have self doubts. Everyone has their own fear, right? My self doubt was, is this gonna work for my students? But I told myself it worked for me. If I teach exactly the same thing to my students, it will work for them. So, after that, I think after the testing of that thoughts, two of my students just got to their first deal. So I
Yeah.
was very, very happy about it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that first deal is always the hardest, but once you get that breakthrough and you believe that you can do it, it helps you feel comfortable to just go that much harder for your next deal. So that's all part of the process. So let's talk about kind of recap where you came from, where you're at now. What do you think about yourself that might be unique that allowed you to go through that whole process and be where you're at today? Because for most people, they don't want to go through the hard stuff. They don't
Mm,
want to fight and work hard and, dig and claw at trying to have that breakthrough moment, which you've finally done, right? But
mm.
what was it for you, do you think, that allowed you to work through that whole process and get to where you're at today?
I think the main thing is to find a mentor. There are a lot of different niches in real estate. Even in the same niche, you can do different things, right?
Mhm.
Let's say for land, it's a niche, but in land, there are a lot of ways to do it. You can buy it and sell in terms. You can subdivide them and sell them. What I do right now is you flip them. You buy low and sell high. That's a model. There's different models. So first of all, you have to have a goal of what you want to do. If you want to do buy a house and flip, that's fine. There are people very specialized doing that, and there are a lot of coaches coach that. Just hire him as a mentor. And one thing about hiring a mentor is you don't want a mentor that teach you school knowledge, meaning they give you a textbook for you to read, right? That's useless. So you want to find a mentor that tell you exactly what the next step is, and you do that and follow that, and of course you have to pay him for his time,
Yeah.
and you know one thing I'm going to talk about later, but if you find such a person, just follow him, do exactly what he told you, and you will be successful. And a lot of people think, I'm gonna go to YouTube. I'm gonna find something free advice. I'm gonna do that. So you can be successful doing that, but there are a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of things you have to make a mistake on, and that those mistakes will cost you money. And if you summarize all the mistakes you have made, that could cost you more than just hire a mentor. You know.
Yes, I would have to agree with two hands up that I have over the years had success, but in order to get to that success, I made a lot of mistakes that cost a lot of money. Now, had I hired a mentor sooner, I would have accelerated my growth and got there faster, and ideally reduce my mistakes, because you got someone like a real good mentor is someone that you can be in contact with and be in direct contact with and ask questions at times that you need those answers, right? And I know some of the mistakes I made were really obvious mistakes. Like anyone else with experience looking at this and looking at all the numbers and all the different factors without emotion, just say, yeah, that's not a deal. Don't do that. Why would you do that? You don't need to do that. It's better to
Definitely.
do not do a deal than to do a bad deal. So I had to learn some of those lessons, I guess, myself, and they were extremely painful
Expensive. Yeah.
and extremely expensive.
100%. Yeah.
I could hire 10 mentors right now, if not more, based on the money that I lost. So, yeah, those are all very good points and lessons. So what has your experience been? Have you found mentors along the way that have helped you through your path?
Yeah, definitely. I have mentors in everything I do. Besides fitness, maybe I should hire you as, as a fitness coach. But you look how fit you are, right? But I have a mentor in crypto. I have a mentor in land. I have a mentor in mastermind, all this stuff. And whatever you like to do, and you got to find a mentor, because if I hire my land mentor to teach me about crypto, it's not going to work, right? And making money is one thing, and keeping your money is another thing, and that's two different
Yes.
stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I am much more careful these days. I'm still pushing super hard, but it's all with the lessons that I've learned of what not to do. And so all of the calculated risks that I'm taking is with backed by mistakes and by good decisions that have led to great paydays. So we're making lots of good decisions, having lots of good results by doing that. So I think that's one of the things that you said there that I think is important is if you're watching this and you don't have the resources, you should be doing everything you can to learn on YouTube or from a free podcast, right? All the information, just some of the little tiny nuggets you shared about how to look for land, right? Without giving away all the secrets. Those are golden nuggets that you can find all over YouTube. And for me, when I got started, YouTube was not the same learning platform that it is today. I just listened to a podcast and took action. I did my first deal in 3 months, but people will get in their own way and they'll be chasing shiny objects on YouTube, or there'll be important information that's missed and they will end up making those mistakes or trying a lot of things and not doing them right. And a mentor can help you just accelerate that and cut out all of the, tough learning lessons. So, but if you're listening to this, if you don't have the resources, don't say, well, then I just can't get started because I can't hire a mentor. You got to be on YouTube. You got to take action. You got to figure some of this out so that you can get resources to level up and start investing in yourself, right? Because that's the ultimate path for growth. If you look at all these different successful people, right? I think a great lesson for yourself, and I heard Chris Crone talk about it today. He said when he met Robert Kiyosaki for one of the first times, one of the things that impacted him the most is it's not that one person can completely change your entire life. And I say that at almost every meetup that I host, not because I heard that, but because I believe it. So it's coincidence that I guess Robert Kiyosaki is saying the same. But one person you meet could completely change the rest of your life. So Chris Crone's message was, it's not where do I get my next deal? It's who's the right person, who's the next person that I need to meet that's going to open up the door or provide the deal. And that's powerful when you think about it. Whether it's a mentor, whether it's someone at a meetup, someone within your community, another peer that you meet, right? It could just be that one person that just opens up and creates all this abundance and opportunity. So I think
100%.
that's a great message.
Yeah, of course, definitely. I love it. And one thing I want to say is about what you said about focus. Because there are so many ways to do real estate. When you do something and you find it, there's something hard with this thing, right? Let's say you do wholesaling. Oh, I have to send the mailers and I have to call the seller back. I find out calling the seller back is hard. So that could hold you back. And then all of a sudden, this apartment thing come along, and you look at those guys making millions, flipping apartments. You're like, maybe that was for me, not this one. And then you go to the apartments, and the apartments is higher level. Maybe there's cost you more money, and it's really hard to do the numbers. And you find out, oh, maybe this land thing is easier. So there's no easy thing for any type of real estate. It's hard some point of the process. So you got to focus on one thing and do it all the way and learn everything about that niche. There are people getting rich doing every single aspect in real estate. So you just have to focus on that one thing.
Yeah, if you go looking around, you'll find every real estate niche of Airbnb and land and rentals, and flips and wholesaling and getting into, commercial real estate and all the different types of niches within commercial real estate. There's someone getting rich at every single one of those niches. And it's really easy to get stuck on shiny object syndrome and chasing around things. So I think that's the best advice someone can get, is to just stay focused and level up your skills and see it through, right? spend some time to get familiar with what other strategies there are and find what's best for you, right? You don't necessarily, for your first deal when you're dead broke, want to go try to take on a multifamily project that you have to raise $20 million for. You probably don't have the skill sets to be able to do that yet. But maybe wholesaling a piece of land or wholesaling a single family house is something that's an easier way to get in the door with something you might see every day. You might see land every day. You might be living in a house or driving by houses in the neighborhood. That's something that you can relate to a little bit better sooner. So that's why I like the two things that we do, right? I wholesale flip and buy rentals of houses, and you flip land. So I like all those strategies very much.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
dude, it's been so great to have you on. I think your story is insanely inspirational, and is just something that everybody needs to understand. With your story, is not everybody has this fairy tale. I started with a bunch of money and started buying real estate. Almost nobody started with a bunch of money, and almost nobody had an easy path to get success. But you're living proof that if you stick with it, no matter how long it takes, you'll eventually have the breakthrough. And I just love that about your story, and it's such an inspiration.
Yeah. So one thing that kept me going during the 6 years was one time I heard Mark Cuban. He is a billionaire. He talked about all the success and failures in his life. One thing he said really, impact me a lot. He said, you don't have to be right all the time, or you can be wrong all the time, but you just have to be right once.
Yep.
So that's why that sentence kept me going during the 6 years. I spent, I don't know how much on those shiny objects on my
Yep.
treasure. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
So
that. I've seen that quote by him as well, and I think it's powerful because um, it's worth fighting for, right? You got this one life, and why would you spend it just clocking in and clocking out, barely getting by, living paycheck to paycheck? It's worth going after it and fighting for having the choices that you want and the life you want to live.
exactly.
Well, again, Ray, what a pleasure to have you on. Appreciate your sharing your story and sharing your experience. Again, if you guys want to follow Ray, you guys can go to Virtual Flip Land and see him there. And Ray, thanks for being on today and sharing your story, man.
Thank you for having me, Dean. Thank you very
Of
much.
course. All righty, take care. Until next time, guys. Peace.